Hey everybody, we're talking about recreation versus work when it comes to JB Nash. I'm Daniel Hall.
I'm Clarissa Sanchez.
I'm Litzy Padilla.
I'm Jasmine Sendejas.
I'm Alexander Victorino. Okay, first we're going to go into what recreation was. So at the time, people thought idle time was considered leisure. So this idle time was basically after you get off work, you go home, and that's idle time until you go back to work. So at that point, that was considered leisure, which it's not really. If today's standards, it would not be. So the next one is the physiological sleep equals survival functions. So this meant that basically when you were home, JB Nash described it as like you just go home, you eat, you sleep, you do basic stuff you do on the weekend off of work, and then you go back to work. So basically you're kind of just in this sleep mode when you're not at work. And then next one, the lack of leisure time was due to a false philosophy. So back in the days of like the forefathers, there's a very famous person, Benjamin Franklin. He said that if there was a nickel loose within a mile, man must be after it. So this kind of philosophy was adopted by everybody, saying that if you didn't work, then your time was considered not worthy, or just, work was what you had to do. You had to be respectable. So next slide. Yeah, leisure was not considered respectable, like I said before. The philosophy, people had to make money, and making money was how you were successful in life. And if you didn't make money, you did stuff when you weren't at work, you did stuff to further your career off of work. So you never really did anything kind of leisure-like. Leisure was also a part of getting ahead in life. People had to have money and always had to be working. Even when someone wasn't working, they must be doing something to better their situation or better just basically their work life. So everything consisted of either you worked or you bettered your work life on your days off. Next slide.
Okay, so this would be Nash's view on recreation now, which is basically stating that recreation is a form that brings happiness to all, as well as creating a happy environment for one's life. A great increase of happiness in a person's life is combined with work and play as one, which also brings a great portion of recreation that is able to be shared with different types of people, no matter their languages or cultures, and they help create permanent happy bonds within each other. Next slide. So this slide is a continuation, which basically states that a group will greatly benefit from recreation as much or even more than adults, which is a youth group. Recreation has partaken in a huge portion of pursuit of happiness for men and others as well. And it has also helped many people throughout time become more joyful in their life, as well as helping them find a greater happiness and a greater outcome to their life, which has also increased health as well, because it has created a huge benefit from a person being happy, because it causes the person to have a more stable and enjoyable lifetime throughout the years. Next slide.
All right, so Nash believed that work was something that was necessary for man in order for them to experience a sense of belonging. He believed that what man really wanted and needed in life was to have a sense of belonging, to have challenging work and to fit in, and work was the way to do that. And another viewpoint he had was that recreation and work together made for fullness in life, which he believed that recreation and work went hand in hand. If you don't work, then you can't appreciate your leisure time, and vice versa. And without one or the other, the other is meaningless. He also stated that leisure is rarely profitable, hence the need for work, because it takes a lot to make leisure profitable, and in a lot of ways it can be luck defined, hence the need to work. And Nash saw work as a blessing in disguise because, in idleness alone, there's perpetual despair. Work was also seen as something that was respectable, and it was a mix of challenge and accomplishment. It gave a greater sense of accomplishment, and it also made leisure feel like it was more earned when you were finished working. He said that joy and happiness was the result of the struggle between challenge, thrill, and hope, and work conformed to that pattern. So work fit right in there. And then from all of his info, from all of the way Nash described work, we could see how much he appreciated and loved work. He saw it as a necessary thing in order to enjoy recreation and leisure. And then he also saw it as one of man's greatest blessings, a blessing to humanity.
So this would be Nash's view on modern work today. Nash would believe that not working would still require hard work, but not as much as in the past because of the technology and resources we have now. People are also now happier with the work they are doing because they get to choose their own profession and study what they want to go into. The wants and needs when working are still having it be creative, challenging, and meaningful. Next slide, please. Nash would also still believe that life does require hard work and that the significance of work shows not only your achievements, but your creativity as well. And then next slide.
For the future of recreation, we're going to see that virtual reality makes an impact on our recreation. And it's also said that you can imagine almost every activity in your existing recreation center as an avatar experience, which is from the Green Play, the newsletter of the Leading the Edge, and as well as our household structure, which is from the future recreation trends from the city of Eden Prairie. So recreation, with the emerging technology, we can see that virtual reality has created an alternate universe for kids and adults to spend their free time without having to do the physical work of either traveling, booking flights, or meeting new people. This future is similar to the novel and movie Ready Player One, in which activity in the year 2044 incorporates haptic technology that is simulated sense of touch. The buildings are designing and constructing now will be only 28 years old in 2044 and will still be in great shape and flexible enough to be reconfigured to meet the future. So it's talking about how people in the future will be able to experience new things through virtual reality without having to leave their homes, and how it can impact their health. And for the household structure, it's due to the increase in demands on limited spare time and the fact that households are generally busier with work and home life responsibilities. The trends point to more discretionary activities such as non-contact activities, which are increasingly growing within the years due to the pandemic, and as well as some of the areas of arts. Increased specialization is also occurring, and the traditional team sports have reached a plateau in their expansion and growth. Next slide, please. So now with the future of work, we are in a post-pandemic world, and we're going to be discussing the 6 major trends that will ripple through the workplace, as well as how the future workplace empowers and inspires people to do their best work. So the year 2020 gave us a unique window into what humans are capable of their own work when their work actually works for them. So in the post-pandemic world, we can see what has shaped the workplace in recent months. The lockdowns, self-isolation, overnight businesses have actually closed their buildings and changed the way work is done. So with the combination of the pandemic and social unrest, they have led to major new trends such as environmental concerns, work activism, and rapidly changing technology. So discussing the 6 major trends, number 1 would be that more employers will work from home. Number 2 is that companies will invest heavily in their health and hygiene and safety. Number 3, companies will continue to strive to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion. Number 4 being that workers will demand better treatment for themselves, for their communities, and for their employers, from their employers, sorry. Number 5, organizations will re-examine how they impact the environment. And lastly, number 6 is technology's rapid transformation will continue, forcing companies to rethink how to integrate people with machines. So the future workplace seems to be aiming to empower and inspiring people to do their best work, to communicate, collaborate, and solve their problems. And all in all, the future of work just depends on understanding how humans work best. Next slide.
And these are our references, and thank you for joining us.